Alright, so this is our second DOS prompt. All we need to do is access our blur machine using the command ssh. Password. Right, there you go. So first thing we need to do is update the repository using the command sudo apt update. Press enter. Password. Alright, so we're done with the update of the repository. The next step is install Ecrsa and OpenVPN program. So using the command sudo apt install Ecrsa and OpenVPN. Press enter. We can install two programs at the same time using one command. Next step is we need to create the Ecrsa folder, and we'll create the symbolic link on that directory. So mkdir rsa. Press enter. Next is ln -s usr share Ecrsa asterisk. Press enter. See what is inside. We need to copy the bars file, but for us to make it more easier, we can get the same file from our Springer. Let's go there to our Springer. ls-l. Okay, SCP bars ilnam blur, or we'll send it in the ilnam blur tmp. Password. Okay, so we successfully transferred the file. Let me clear this one again. Clear, and go back to blur machine. Let me see the tmp. Okay, we need to copy /tmp/bars to our Ecrsa folder. Okay, there you go. Let me check what is inside the bars. Alright, so we don't need to do some changes here. It looks good. Just exit. Okay. Next step is we need to get the ownership of this bars file. Okay, but first let me clear the screen. Okay, so let's get the ownership of this file. So using the command sudo chown ilnam Ecrsa. Okay, the whole folder itself. Let's get the ownership. And let's get privileges to have read, write, and execute privileges. Sudo chmod 700. There you go. Now it's time to initialize our PKI using the command /Ecrsa init PKI. Press enter. Alright, so your newly created PKI directory is home ilnam Ecrsa /PKI. Right, so we are in the stage where we will start the actual VPN configuration. What we did earlier was just all the preparation and initialization. At this point in time, we will do the exact configuration for our VPN to function properly. First, let me generate the CSR. Basically, it is a request that we need to send to CA server. Likewise, we need to let the CA server sign the request and create a certificate. He need to send it back to our Blur VPN. Okay, let's do it. Using the command .ec rsa genrec. Okay, let me read the command first. .ecrsa genrec blur-vpn no pass. Blur VPN will be our assigned common name for our VPN or OpenVPN server. Press enter. At the end of the line, let me read it. Common name, so your user, host, or server name. So what we typed earlier in the argument is Blur VPN, so it is enclosed in the Blur VPN. Press enter. Okay, there you go. So we successfully created the request and the key. So the request is the blur-vpn.rec and the key is blur-vpn.key. Alright, so rule of thumb, always keep your key, okay, all file with extension name, that key should be kept in the etc/openvpn/server directory. Okay, so where's that? This one. We need to highlight this one to copy, so we don't need to type everything here. Highlight and using right click to copy. So just do a sudo copy right click space, or we'll put it in the etc OpenVPN server. Press enter. Okay, we successfully transferred the file, and the request file also, we need to send it to the CA server. Right click and copy. So SCP, right click to paste, or we'll send it to our Springer in the TMP folder. Password for the Springer. Alright, there you go. Now we need to go back to our Ecrsa server to sign the request that we sent coming from the OpenVPN or the Blur server. Let's go back there. So what we'll do, let me check first the TMP folder. Okay, blur-vpn.rec. That is the file that we sent earlier, and now we need to import that one so we can sign the request. Okay, so using the Ecrsa management tool, we need to sign the request of the OpenVPN server. Okay, let's do it. So Ecrsa import request from the TMP. The file is blur-vpn.request or REQ. And we need to declare the common name of our OpenVPN server. So blur VPN. Enter. So the request has been successfully imported with the short name or the common name of blur-VPN. You may now use this name to perform a signing operation on this request. Okay, so we can start signing the request using the command Ecrsa sign rec. So the machine is a server, so we need to put the argument server, and the common name is blur VPN. Press enter. So type the word yes to confirm the request details. There you go. So certificate created at, this is the absolute path of the certificate that the CA server signed from the previous command that we executed. Okay, we need to copy this one, right click, and send it back to our blur VPN server using the command scp right click on the file, on the absolute path that we copied earlier, and we will send it to ilnam at blur machine. Press enter. Key in the password. There you go. So I think we already sent the ca.crt earlier, right? But we can do it again using the command to make it sure. Using the command scp pki ca.crt to ilnam at blur tmp folder. All right, so we sent the two file, the certificate and the public key, which is the CACRT. Now we're done here with the CA server. Let me clear this one again. Clear. And let's go back to blur machine. Okay. So let me clear first this screen for the blur machine using the command clear. Right, so as I mentioned earlier, the rule of thumb is always keep that key file to our etc OpenVPN server directory, but we also include the .crt file to be stored in that directory. So using the command sudo copy tmp. Right, so I think we have a two file that we received from the CA server, so we can copy two files at the same time using open and close curly bracket, blur vpn.crt and the ca.crt, where I will put it in the etc open VPN server. Press enter. Alright, so next is we need to check the files that we transferred. ls-l. Let me copy this one. Right click and right click to paste. Press enter. Alright, so these are the keys and the certificate files, please keep in mind that we always need to keep all those files in this directory. Right, so next step is we need to update the certificate of this OpenVPN server. So what we need to do is we need to copy this ca.crt into our CA certificates folder located in /usr/local/share/CA certificates. So we need to do sudo cp/tmp/ca.crt. We'll keep it in usr share local share CA certificates. Press enter. Alright, so next we need to execute the CACRT updates using the command sudo update CA certificates. Enter. Updating certificate. Alright, so there you go. So next step is configuring the cryptographic material. So this step will help us ensure that the OpenVPN server will be able to cope with unauthenticated traffic, port scan, and denial of service attack. So it will also make our OpenVPN server to be harder to identify in the OpenVPN network traffic. So the command is we need to execute the OpenVPN gen key, must be the secret key called da.key. Alright, so let me see that file, the TA key, ls-l. There you go, that is the TA.key. And we also need to send it to our etc OpenVPN server directory using the command sudo copy TA.key etc/OpenVPN/server. Right. So the next step is we will do the configuration of the server.conf. Okay, so first we need to find where is that server.conf located in the USR folder using the command find this location. So the file name must be server.conf, and this must be zip file. Press enter. Alright, so there you go. That will be the absolute path of our file that we are looking. So we need to highlight this one, highlight, and right click to copy. And we need to unzip or copy first to our workspace, or directly we can send it to our etc OpenVPN server. So sudo cp, right click and paste. So it will be the VPN server. Let me check first. We successfully transferred the file. Okay, there you go. So that is this file in the red font is our copied file. So next step, we need to unzip that file again. So using the command sudo gunzip etc/openvpn/server/server.conf.gz. That will be the command to unzip that red font file. Okay, let me check again. All right, see the file. It is now in the white color font, meaning it is a text file now. Okay, so let me clear first the screen. Next thing we need to do is rename the server.conf into blur-vpn file. Okay, so using the command sudo copy or move. Okay, let's use the command copy instead of using move, because if we will move, it is a rename. So at least if we will use the command copy, we will have a duplicate or extra copy of that server.conf. Server.conf into /server/blur-vpn.conf. Why we need to rename or have a blur-vpn.conf? Remember, we didn't use the default server host name for our blur VPN. We use a common name blur-vpn as a host name of our OpenVPN server. Right, so press enter. Let us see the file again. Okay, there you go. So we have the blur-vpn conf now. Now we need to edit this configuration file using the command nano. Okay, let's do it. Right, so arrow up to execute the last command. blur-vpn.conf. Control A to go to the first column of the CLI, and you need to execute the command sudo nano. Press enter. This is the content of the conf file. First thing we need to do is make sure this port 1194 is active and protocol UDP is active or enabled as well, not commented out. Using the command, the control key, control B to go down by page, control B or control Y to go up. Okay, here is the ca.crt. We need to comment this one out, the server.crt, because we will use blur-vpn.crt. That's what we have, not this server.crt. Okay, so sort blur-vpn.crt and the key must be blur-vpn that key. Then this Diffie-Hellman thing, we're not using Diffie-Hellman, so we need to comment this one out and use none because we're not using Diffie-Hellman. Next is or using the command Control B. Oh, but this we can keep this network address 10.8.0.0 for our tunneled or encrypted network, but let's try to use 10.88. You can use any network address that you assigned as long as you have a correct subnet mask. Okay, although this 10.88, I think this is class B, but we want class B to be designated as class C IP address. Next thing we need to do is we need to find using the command Control B. Control B. Control B. Alright, so we need to change the secret key. Okay, instead of TLS AUTH, TLS authentication, we will use TLS script. So we need to Control A, comment this one out, and use TLS script, TA.key. Next is we are not using a CBC cipher. We'll use the GCM. So use the command cipher AES 256 GCM and the digest must be SHA 256. Alright, then down here, user nobody, uncomment this one. Think that's all. Okay, seems everything is good, so we need to exit and save. Control X, save, yes, and enter. So let me clear the screen first. Clear. Alright, so next step is we will do all the network configuration. Okay, so first let us check the sysctl.conf using the command sudo nano /etc/sysctl.conf. Enter. Okay, there's only one line that we need to change here. Okay, so you need to uncomment the next line, this line, the one that I'm highlighting right now, to enable packet forwarding for IPv4. Okay, so remove the comment from here, and that's all. So Control X, save, and yes, press enter. Then let us activate or reload the new values for the current session of the sysctl. Sudo sysctl -p. Alright, so IPv4 forwarding is now active. Next thing is we will do the firewall configuration. So let me check first, clear this one first, and execute the command IP list, IP route, list the default. All right, so there is my current IP. Next, do some changes on the UFW before that rules. So using the command sudo nano /etc /UFW/ before rules. Before that rules. Press enter. Alright, so what we need to do here is we need to set the default policy for the post routing chain in the NAT table and masquerade any traffic coming from the VPN. So we can add we will add three lines here. We can put it here in the top. Okay, so let's add new post routing rules here. Our OpenVPN. Right, so basically we need to define the network address translation here, the post routing except okay, so our network address is 10.88.0.0. Remember the configuration file, the blur-vpn.conf. We changed the 10.8.0.0. We make it 10.88. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, so this is class C. Okay, -o ETH 0. So this is my network device name. So using ifconfig from the CLI, you can identify what is the device name of your network adapter. -J. Okay, make sure you're typing everything in a correct spelling and the same cases. And we need to commit. Basically, that is the 4 lines that we need to add. Let me double check again if we type it correctly. Seems right. Okay, now we need to Control X, save, press Y, and press enter. Next step is we will allow the default forward policy using the command sudo nano /etc /default /UFW. Right, so default forward policy here in the middle, just make it accept. That's all, only one line that we need to change here. Press Ctrl X, save, yes, and press enter. Next, we need to allow the 1194 port and UDP protocol to allow in the firewall using the command sudo UFW allow 1194 and UDP. Okay, skipping, adding existing rule. Next is we also need to allow OpenSSH using the command. Okay, last command that we executed, and allow OpenSSH. Enter. There you go. So next thing, we need to restart our firewall using the command sudo ufw disable. Enter. Then let's enable. That is how you will restart the firewall. Command me disrupt. Yes, press yes. Commit. There is some error in our configuration, so we need to go back there. Problem running UFW init. Bad argument. Commit. Let's see this one. Okay, let's open that before that rules. Let me clear the screen first. Right, so there is an error on the line number 15. Let me check that one. Sudo nano etc ufw before rules. Let me check everything. Everything seems right, but we need to make sure that each line doesn't have any unnecessary spaces. Control E. At the NAT, there's no space. Control E here, nothing. Control E, and in the commit, that is Control E. Okay, so there are some unnecessary space here. We need to delete. Control X and save. Yes. Sudo UFW enable. Yes. All right. So that's the only errors that we commit earlier. Those unnecessary spaces. Keep that in mind that unnecessary spaces will give us error. So let's proceed to the next step. Sudo systemctl -f enable OpenVPN server at blur-vpn.service. Enter. Here you go. Next is we need to start. Just arrow up to retrieve the last command that we executed. Replace enable with the start and press enter. And let us see the status. Arrow up again. And status. There are no errors. Everything seems right. That's good.